Evaluating Mafia II directly after replaying the Mafia remake feels somewhat strange. The former is merely a remaster, while the latter received a remake from the ground up. This is why this revisit was almost cut short after the intro, as the outdated visuals were incredibly jarring following the stunning graphics of the remake. But as I continued playing, the story and the setting specifically started to click with me, and I ended up beating the game for the second time ever. I originally played Mafia 2 back in those amazing days of COVID-19 quarantine on my base PS4, and I absolutely loved it, even aiming for the Platinum Trophy as I do for every game. However, the daunting task of obtaining all the collectibles ultimately deterred me. I'm revisiting this particular game on my PC as I play through the entire series in anticipation for Mafia: The Old Country later this year. You can check out my revisit of the Mafia remake as well, I'll link it in the description box below. Okay, with a spoiler alert caution, let's dive into the game many consider the best in the series. This is a 2025 look at Mafia 2, the definitive edition.
May my soul burn in hell, just like the saint.
Amico nostra. Gentlemen, I give you our new friend, Vito Scaletta.
In my view, the Mafia franchise stands out because of the incredible worlds it builds in each installment. While they might initially present as mere backdrops, their depth and influence elevate them to be status of distinct characters. In my Mafia remake video, I described Lost Heaven as an incredibly detailed movie set. The same holds true for Empire Bay in Mafia 2, perhaps even more so regarding its functionality within the game. What makes Mafia 2's setting so compelling is its original post-World War II America. It's a truly remarkable sight, imbued with a dark and bleak aura that sparks intrigue at every turn. Empire Bay expertly blends iconic elements from numerous American cities, from New York, Chicago, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Boston to Detroit, resulting in a vibrant fusion that perfectly captures its intended era. Empire Bay really goes after everything you'd want in a video game setting. It showcases urban grandeur in its bustling midtown with towering skyscrapers, then shifts to Greenfield for a peaceful suburban life that embodies the American dream. You'll also find distinct areas like Chinatown with its unique red lanterns and architecture, or North Millville, the industrial backbone portraying a working-class neighborhood. Speaking of capturing the eras, this is, for me, Empire Bay's most striking element. The game is a tale of two distinct time and place, and the dramatic jump you experience between the 1940s and 1950s is one of the coolest setting nuances I've ever seen in a video game. From the fashion and music to the vehicles and architecture, the game meticulously recreates the authentic feel of both the 1940s and 1950s. When our protagonist Vito Scaletta first steps foot into 1940s Empire Bay, he's greeted by a perpetual, snow-laden winter. The city feels cold and somber, its streets blanketed in thick snow, immediately conveying a nation still grappling with the tail end of a global conflict. Even the architecture and vehicles reflect this era. Not to mention, the thick snow on the streets creates very challenging and slippery car handling, significantly boosting immersion. After roughly halfway through the story, Vito's imprisonment for nearly a decade leads to a dramatic shift. We then witness Empire Bay in all its summer glory. In my opinion, this is where the game truly breathes new life. It's impressive how the world completely transforms through simple yet incredibly effective changes the developers implemented within familiar territory. The oppressive winter recedes, making way for a vibrant, optimistic spring and summer. Empire Bay transforms, now pulsating with post-war prosperity and significant cultural shifts. We see it in the hot rods on the streets, the ascendant 50s fashion, and the omnipresent rock and roll. This is precisely where I found myself so deeply immersed, driving those beautiful era-appropriate cars with lens flare kissing Vito's face and amazing 50s music from the radio station serving as the perfect backdrop.
Mr. Sandman, bring me a dream.
The city's architecture feels revitalized, and a palpable sense of new opportunity pervades, even as the criminal underworld remains a constant. This profound contrast between the two distinct periods stands as a powerful testament to the game's superb world building. This marks only my second playthrough of Mafia II, and I find myself appreciating its world building far more than I did the first time. I would be absolutely floored if they managed to pull off something like this in the old country. Or even Mafia 3, which I've never actually beaten. Speaking of which, please subscribe to the channel, as Mafia 3 will be my next video. To conclude, I genuinely have nothing negative to say about Mafia 2's Empire Bay. Empire Bay truly is a character in itself. With every changing weather pattern, every time of day, and every second you spend in its semi-open world, you discover something new and fresh. It's a world that genuinely stays with you. My only real disappointment is that I wish they had chosen to remake this game from the ground up. A full remake could have elevated it to something truly special, even surpassing Lost Heaven from the Mafia remake, which, by comparison, feels far more hollow. Empire Bay offers so much more in terms of interaction and engagement. There are numerous bars and restaurants to visit, a variety of clothing stores and gun stores to browse, vehicles to steal and earn some quick cash, wanted posters to find, and of course, arguably the best collectibles in any game, the beautiful Playboy magazines. I love them so much, I actually went out of my way to find most of them. Okay, moving on. Very similar to its predecessor, Mafia 2 unfolds a compelling, character-centric narrative.
My name is Vito Scaletta. I was born in Sicily in 1925.
It meticulously delves into profound themes such as betrayal, loyalty, the deceptive allure of the American dream, and the inherently corrosive impact of organized crime. At the center of it all is Vito Scaletta, a young man disillusioned by poverty and the emptiness of the straight life who ultimately seeks quick wealth and respect within the dangerous world of the Mafia. Having served in World War II to escape a prison sentence for a botched robbery with his pal Joe Barbaro, Vito returns to Empire Bay, and it's this very friend who immediately pulls him into the city's criminal underbelly. For me, this is the story's most compelling hook. A young man returning to a devastated family after his father's death, desperate to make a living in his own town to help his family pay off the debts. This initial predicament plunges him into such a web of conflicts that you inherently champion his success. The narrative actually starts off quite slow, which I typically consider a negative in most games. Here, however, I don't mind it at all, because I'm completely hooked watching this young man slowly build his criminal enterprise in Empire Bay. And adding significantly to that entire experience is Vito's friend, Joe Barbaro.
Kiss my ass.
Joe is an amazing character. If I were to rank my favorite Mafia characters, he would definitely be in my top 3. He's funny, incredibly loyal, and his womanizing, carefree nature adds significant charm to his personality.
God damn it, Mike! You put your grubby mitts on my fucking coat. I paid a fortune for this thing.
All right, calm down or I'll stick 'em up your ass, you sissy.
You know, dry cleaning costs these
Jesus
days
Christ.
plenty, and who knows if they can even get this
You
filth out.
shut up.
Creating a stark and welcome contrast to the dark and somber world of the Mafia. Amidst these struggles, Vito finds a semblance of recovery working for the Clemente crime family. However, this respite is short-lived as their criminal activities escalate, leading to Vito's decade-long imprisonment. Vito's imprisonment marked a point where the narrative, in my view, stumbled. Despite the game's efforts to depict his reflection on past actions, the prolonged duration spent in that confined environment resulted in notably tedious story beats. The only positive from Vito's time in prison is the introduction of Leo Galante, who stands out as another exceptional character.
But listen, Vito, I'm getting out in a few months. When I do, you'll see what we can do about adjusting your sentence. Pepe, come here. Have a taste.
He embodies the perfect blend of a master manipulator and astute strategist, possessing the sheer cunning and pragmatism essential for thriving at the pinnacle of the Mafia. Interestingly, despite his often self-serving motives, he consistently exhibits a clear loyalty to Vito. You could call him Vito's father figure, as he shows him the ropes and intricacies of the Mafia underworld, ultimately even facilitating his early release.
Hey, you break out of jail? Ah, jeez, good to see you in regular clothes and on the right side of the bars again.
From this point, the story becomes an absolute masterpiece, largely due to the era shift we discussed earlier. The bright, prosperous summer in Empire Bay also foreshadows Vito's harsh life, while simultaneously presenting new possibilities. Upon his return, he and Joe align with the Falcone crime family.
Falcone sent me. He isn't too fond of skinny little cocksuckers trying to turn his guys into mincemeat.
Rapidly rising through their ranks, they quickly become made men, experiencing the luxuries and perceived power that comes with their new status. Yet, those good days were fleeting. Vito quickly loses almost everything he had amassed, both financially and in terms of property, when his enemies tragically burned down the suburban house that represented his American dream. This descent of power simultaneously opens the door for escalating crime and betrayal, and numerous conflicts within the crime families begin to present themselves. Vito and Joe are consequently plunged headfirst into the escalating gang wars of Empire Bay. This is another point of criticism of the story, at least for me. I never felt Vito was held back by a genuine urge of normalcy. This contrasts sharply with Tommy and Jello in the first game, where Sarah represented the normalcy he constantly yearned to return to. With Vito, however, the sentiment was absent. He seemed to genuinely enjoy this life and the full power it brought him. Speaking of Sarah, it's quite interesting how few prominent female characters there are in Mafia II. Vito doesn't even have a significant love interest. Beyond his sister and mother, nearly every other female character you encounter in the game appears to be a prostitute.
Real smart guy. He's into, astrology.
You mean astronomy?
Fuck you, you fucking cum dumpster.
To shift back focus to the story at this point, another character who truly shined here is Henry Tomasino. Henry Tomasino starts as the charming made man, but we soon see him derail in his greed for quick money. This ultimately leads to his demise, serving as a grim cautionary tale for Vito and Joe about the harsh realities of this life. Of course, the greed for quick money doesn't end there. It also significantly affects Vito. We see him losing all his money one more time, only this time he's desperately grappling to save his own life. The climax of Mafia II forces Vito to confront painful truths about his past, specifically the fate of his father at the hands of a mob boss he once worked for.
Full of shit, huh? That bastard killed your father, Vito.
What? They're just trying to get under your skin.
Derek?
Hey, stop pointing that gun at me.
Why don't you ask him how your dad drowned that night?
This leads him to face the ultimate consequences of his choices. In a desperate bid for survival, Vito is compelled to eliminate his boss, Carlo Falcone, who had in fact planned Vito's own demise for vouching for Henry. The game concludes on a hauntingly ambiguous note. Vito witnesses Joe being driven away by Leo's men, strongly implying Joe's likely execution. This leaves Vito alone, albeit alive, in a chilling culmination of his journey.
Hey, what the hell's going on? Where they taking Joe?
Sorry, kid. Joe wasn't part of our deal.
This is an intriguing cautionary tale that perfectly illustrates both the allure of quick wealth in the mafia life and the harsh realities that come with it. Such wealth demands a terrible cost, often resulting in the loss of those closest to you. This is powerfully exemplified by Vito, who ultimately loses Joe, his only true companion, throughout the entire game. In concluding my thoughts on Mafia II's narrative, I consider it a resounding successor to Mafia I. Commendably avoiding the glorification of gangster life, its strengths are manifold. From its well-developed characters and stunningly cinematic action moments to the ill-fated friendship between Joe and Vito, it tells a story that truly stays with you in a setting that similarly endures. The only lingering question is whether I like it more than the first game. I think yes. This is in my opinion a brilliant story that powerfully showcases the ups and downs of a young man navigating the world of gangsters. If I were forced at gunpoint to identify a negative, it would be this. I genuinely wish the game had presented Vito with a path to normalcy, similar to Tommy's journey in the first game. But I digress. Also, I have no idea why they skipped the remake of this game, as the original cinematics have truly dated and characters have little to no emotions to convey, failing to dramatize those pivotal story moments with the effortless impact seen in the Mafia remake.
I killed for my country. I killed for my family. I killed anybody that got in my way. But this one's for me.
Okay, let's now touch on the gameplay. This is an aspect that isn't the most crucial to critique in these particular games, as it primarily serves to facilitate and guide the player through the world and the story. The gameplay of Mafia II can broadly be divided into three core parts: driving, shooting, and hand-to-hand combat. Let's start with the hand-to-hand combat, which, as I mentioned before, is unnecessarily overused. I simply don't think it's very good. There's a dodge button that you can literally just hold down to evade any incoming attack. While it also features a light and heavy attacks option, there's nothing to write home about. It's just fine. The finishers are another point. I have no idea how they work. Sometimes they show button combinations and I just go with the flow. Again, I don't want to criticize it too much. For a game that's standing on 15-year-old legs, this is definitely an aspect of the game that has kind of dated. Beyond that specific point, what genuinely surprised me about Mafia II's gameplay is how its driving and shooting still stand the test of time. Even without the benefit of a remake, they feel remarkably superior. Consider the shooting and character movement, for example. They remain significantly more fluid and responsive than in titles like GTA V, a game released a full 3 years later. My sole minor quibble is the reticle. Similar to the remake, it's genuinely hard to play with the crosshair reticle in 2025. In my opinion, it significantly limits the satisfaction and ease of landing headshots. As for the weapons, while the Tommy gun remains superb here, I do miss the distinct weapon diversity found in the remake. Nevertheless, the high-stakes shootout were immensely enjoyable, the environmental reactions to gunfire still fantastic and utterly awesome. And as for the cover system, it is pretty bad. I never felt secure in cover because gunshots would pierce through, even in situations where I was completely hidden from enemies. What's more, it's very inconsistent. Vito would often snap into cover in areas where I didn't want him to. Ironically, the shootouts present a genuine challenge, largely because I found myself dying frequently, and the checkpoint system often proved frustratingly baffling. Yet, this very frustration contributed to the overall difficulty of what would otherwise be a rather mediocre gunplay system. Now again, very similar to the remake, the star of Mafia II's gameplay package is undoubtedly the driving. I love it so much. It's an aspect that could genuinely be released in 2025 and still feel just as impressive. The driving provides such a genuine challenge, directly influenced by the environments you are navigating. Every turn, twist, brake, acceleration, deceleration has to be precise and deliberate to avoid mistakes. As I mentioned before, driving feels very intentionally difficult due to the thick snow, making streets slippery and hard to control. However, it breathes new life during the 1950s section, where the intentional improvements make the driving significantly more enjoyable. Not to mention the 1950s cars themselves. They offer a speed and fluidity that is simply awesome. One challenging yet ultimately rewarding aspect is the police system. It's much tougher than in most games, but at the same time, it's a hallmark of the Mafia franchise. The fact that you can't simply speed or commit hit and runs without consequence truly establishes law and order, further immersing you in the story. To sum up the gameplay, I encountered surprisingly few issues, especially when accounting for its age, a game now 15 years old. In Mafia games, the gameplay's chief purpose is to facilitate the narrative, a role Mafia II fulfills masterfully. What truly stood out was my unexpected lack of frustration, particularly given that this isn't a remake. I'm actually playing this game at around 120 FPS in 1440p, which made for a pretty good time. Revisiting Mafia II Definitive Edition in 2025 was, to my surprise, an absolute blast, largely because I approached it with significant skepticism. It's indeed challenging to follow a full remake of the first game with a sequel that's merely a remaster. Yet, the experience endured. Empire Bay remains a sight to behold, and the journey of watching and growing with Vito Scaletta is truly captivating. Coupled with its serviceable gameplay, Mafia II genuinely astounded me with how well it still stands the test of time in so many crucial aspects. It's simply amazing. And I actually agree with the general consensus that this is the best game in the series. This is coming from someone who hasn't beaten Mafia 3, but that's a different conversation we will get into next week. So if you want that, please consider subscribing. I'm trying really hard to get to 1000 subscribers, and your support will help me a lot. Thank you for your time. Rax Plays signing off.
Let's shoot this cocksucker.
Remember what we talked
On
about,
tree.
Joe? You're gonna throw all that away? Do it!
2,